Well, hello there, and thank you for tuning in to the Shameless Sex Podcast. I'm Amy, sex educator, somatic sex and relationship coach, and sex shop owner.
And I'm April, VP of an international high-end pleasure product company and boss queen sex toy mogul. We're best friends who make our own rules about who we are as sexual beings.
With everything from how to be a badass in the bedroom, to pussy praising, to top tips for bringing your relationship to the next level, we have something just for you.
So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Don't forget to head on over to our website at shamelesssex.com for more. And for 15% off of some of our favorite sex toys, use coupon code SHAMELESSPP in all caps at purepleasureshop.com. Hello, everyone.
Hi, guten Tag, everybody.
Is it Dutch?
No, that's German because we just came back from Germany.
Yes, and now we're in
Amsterdam, the Netherlands. They say Prost in Germany and they say Prost in the Netherlands.
more like without less.
Yeah, it's like Prost.
Oh, yes. Yesterday was beautiful. So yeah, we got to Amsterdam. Well, you got here a day after I did.
Yes.
Yes. And we were here. I'm here for work. You're here for work too. And work and
I will
play.
be working. Yes.
Yes. We got some meetings and things. I visited a number of adult stores. And last night we went out to the red light district.
It was, how cool was it though? And we went to a strip club too, like
we
an
did.
Amsterdam style strip club.
Yeah.
I got 2 lap dances.
Yes. She was
And they're like, I'm like, can I touch your like body? And she's like, you can touch my boobs and my butt. And I was like, what about your pussy? She's like, no. I was like, okay.
Would you have done it? Would you have done it? She said yes.
I'd be open to it, but they both had vulva piercings
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't even notice that. I was like right there. And
because they were bent
watching.
over in front of my face.
Oh,
so
of
I
course.
saw
So
it.
you got, so you got
I got
really
a
close.
full view.
You
of
didn't
what they
miss
had.
any of that. Yeah, they were beautiful. There's beautiful women. They were all really, really tall and really, really strong. Their bodies
Very strong.
were-
Oh, and our my partner that I was there with got beat with his own belt.
Yes, and still has a
and
welt
he
today.
still has welts.
Yeah, the dancer, she grabbed his belt because they have to take their belts off to receive the lap dance so that it doesn't scrape up on the ladies. And
Apparently, they said they'd set his underwear on fire too.
but he was wearing
And
underwear.
he wasn't wearing it. She's like, oh my god!
Yeah, it was interesting going to the red light district. You had never been.
In 2002, I was there for a week. I was in Amsterdam. Meant to go for 2 days, and I stayed for like 9 almost.
You got in the red light district alone. You got stuck
well,
in there?
I was in there a lot because it's so fun. If anybody hasn't been to Amsterdam,
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
definitely check it out. It is a really cool city. It's like Disneyland for adults.
Yes, it's beautiful and it's full of wild debauchery. But there's just like this different, we've been to a number of strip clubs at home. What's that one in LA that's like a lot of really strong, empowered women that work there?
Oh, Jumbos.
Jumbos, yeah.
That's like not a strip club really. It's like a dancing.
Is that the one where they're kind of like Cirque du Soleil people who are really bendable?
There's
Yeah.
a lot of
They're
like
talented.
performers. Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the red light district because I think it's really interesting to learn about.
I wanted to comment just on the strip club thing too, which was interesting that the one that we went to, at least, that it was okay to touch they were giving consent to touch their breasts and their ass. And the strip clubs that we've been to at home, it's usually more of a you can look but can't touch mentality. Unless the touching is more behind the scenes, and then that, I guess that is a different category of sex work. But it was interesting to see the difference here, and it to me it felt like there was this extra layer of I don't know what the word is, but this extra layer was removed here, and it just seemed, and I don't know if like empowered is the right word, but it seemed like, I can't speak for all the women, say that they all look super stoked, and it was more normal.
They were like braiding each other's hair in front of us and stuff. And it was very natural.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like as much of a hustle as when I've been in strip clubs before, where it's like, they're just kind of hanging out, the women together. And people and like Dutch people are very sweet and kind and really like open.
Yeah.
And everyone thinks you're Dutch, by the way. Like,
I know everyone's talking to me, and I'm like, I don't
"Oh,
speak
she doesn't
Dutch."
speak it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely not Dutch. When we were in Germany, they didn't think I was German, but now they think I'm Dutch. Well, okay, I'll just wait one last point, then we can talk about the red light district a little more. I think my point here is that ideas of what constitutes sex work and boundaries, or like generalized boundaries within the sex work world. So at home, there's a great boundary. When you go to a strip club, you don't touch unless it's like behind the scenes negotiate in the champagne room or whatever, right?
Right.
You know, pay extra money, but it's behind scenes. Here, it's more normalized, and so I'm just saying that like boundaries are to a certain degree kind of contextual, based on the understanding time and space. I'm not saying that you get to go anywhere and be like, oh, you know, these women here say that I can touch tits now, so I can do that to any woman on the street. No. But that it's more normalized here, and that can be the case anywhere. It really is based on time and place.
People have to remember too, like these women, that we were, you know, visiting yesterday. They are people, so you can talk to them. I like talking to them. I'm like, okay, like I'm not just gonna be like, hey,
just ignore them,
or just automatically grab them. Be like, hey, is there somewhere I can't touch? Where can I touch? It's kind of like,
you want to get consent, even though if you went in there and you had this generalized idea of what the consent rules were, it's still nice to treat people like humans and ask them, because like, I don't know, maybe they have a different sort of idea of how they want to be touched. Maybe it's, you can touch my breasts and my ass, but this is how I want them to be touched. Or you can touch here, but not here, whatever it is. And I'm sure that they're not in a position in all places and strip clubs to speak their minds, but I'm sure it feels nice to be asked.
Well, that's why I did. I was like, hey, so what's happening? Because
I'm pretty sure you're their favorite customer because you're so much fun. You're just like, yeah, just like jumping up and down.
Well, I was like dancing with the one, like she was like humping me, and I was like getting down with the music. Well, at first I was like, I don't like this song. She's like, me neither. I was like, here, let's just hang out and have a glass of wine while we wait for the right song. And then the next song came on. She's like, how do you feel about this one? I'm like, I love it. And then she got like right up on me.
Perfect.
She had like the best booty too. I was like,
yeah, she had a nice booty.
And then we walked around. I love
the red light.
The red light district is so interesting. And if any of you listeners haven't ever been to any sort of like where, you know, sex work is legal, and I think sex workers is like a better term. And as you mentioned, then prostitute or hooker, like those things are like not
they're
necessarily
so outdated.
PC. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's so outdated. And sex work is kind of like the way we use queer, right? It's like an umbrella term for all the work that can go in there. So you can be a hands-on erotic masseuse who just uses your hands to touch bodies, and you could be a sex worker. And you could also have intercourse with people, like, and when I say intercourse, like penis and vagina or whatever, penis and whatever orifice you're into, and that can also be sex work too. So it's just this broad, or like a tantrika, you know, someone doing bikini work with people so it's just make it more open-ended.
Well, but it's really cool. Like these women, from what I know and what I've experienced, and obviously I didn't pay for any sex work last night. We are going to go to a live sex show tonight. I know you're not because you have a super early flight, but I am going to experience a live sex show tonight. I'd love to talk about it in the next podcast when we're together.
You have to tell me all the details
because I'm very interested and intrigued, and I think it's, in my opinion. So, can I just get on a tangent for 1 second?
Go tangent away.
Well, first of all, you didn't get to experience this, but I went to the Venus show in Berlin.
The trade show, yeah.
And it's like this, so it's like a B2C, which is business to consumer affair. And it's literally like this whole thing. I watched this like two porn stars come out on stage. They did this like Batman Wonder Woman piece. And she pulled out a 4-foot anal bead situation out of her ass. Obviously, well, he pulled it out of her ass. And then they started fucking on stage. But to like this badass warrior like power music, it was the craziest thing I'd seen. It was like all these people filming and like this music like diddly-doo, diddly-doo-doo. I was like,
it's like Rocky theme song.
I was like, it's the final countdown. That wasn't it, but that's how it felt. Like it was like,
oh my god,
so interesting. So from that portion of like me looking, because we were walking that trade show to see if we'd like if Hot Octopus would be interested in having a booth there, and we were like, it's not ready for like our brand yet because it's super mainstream, and our brand is very like education based and whatever, sex positive, and that's not necessarily the whole sex positive theme that we're going for. But it was quite intriguing. Like my mouth, it rarely happens that I'm surprised in my life, but my mouth was like, I had to like use my hand to close it several times. Like just the stuff that I saw. I mean, I went to the BDSM dungeon area where it was like doms beating this person. Like, I think it probably was a transgendered,
genderqueer of some sort.
Yes, but they were definitely on the floor getting beat for like a good 25 minutes while I was just sitting there. I'm like, I'll take a glass of Prosecco. And they were loving it. So, and ass was definitely, I hadn't seen anything like that. And there were 30,000 people a day that come to this event.
Oh, just observing.
All Germans. Like, y'all.
Oh, the Germans.
9. So I just wanted to say that. So from that to now, seeing like this whole sort of sex work in the Netherlands where, I guess, selling sex for, money as a female, and I'm not sure for a male body, but is legal. It's interesting to see the dynamic.
I bet it. Well, because you're saying you go to the live shows and there's male. They have shows where there's actually male-bodied folks fucking, female-bodied folks. So
they're getting paid, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably a little less. I don't know. Hopefully. I don't know. Not hopefully less, but hopefully they're all getting paid decently. I don't know what the wages are. I was asking around. So, because you walk in the red light district and there's these it's all women. We didn't see any men in the windows. It's all women in like little outfits, little bikinis with like kind of like neon lights in there, and they're kind of advertising themselves. And
they're all red. The lights are all red.
It's all red on the outside of the building, and they're all kind of like touching themselves and like bending over and just kind of offering.
Some of them are so like happy. They look happy in general. Like, and some of them are like smoking ciggies and looking at like
other phones.
They're just like playing Candy Crush.
Yeah.
They're like, what am I doing? You're like, oh man.
Yeah, it was interesting to see, and so it seems like from what we know, people kind of negotiate through the window. And
they do. That's what. Yeah, we were trying to figure out that last night, and we watched an exchange. Yeah. And it was quite interesting because they walked up the stairs and she opened the door, and then they were talking for a few minutes, and then I think he was too wasted or something.
Yeah, there's definitely the people that are just highly intoxicated. They just want to like fuck around and chat with the ladies and not drop any money. And then I did see a couple of people actually go in a couple of the rooms where they close the curtains when someone accepts the bid of the offer.
Yeah, then the curtains close. And there's like a whole shower. Do you remember the shower
system
they
in
like
there? Get
you cleaned up.
Yeah, and they have papers. They actually have their documentation here
and
for
they do.
Their testing status.
Which I have to say something about that.
Yes, what you got?
Because I think that, so first off, a lot of STDs, and for those of you who don't know, like out there, like a lot of STDs cannot be tested for, like herpes, for instance, or even syphilis.
You can test for herpes now, but you won't know.
You won't know unless you have an outbreak.
And like half the time, it's herpes 1 on your lips.
95% of the population has it. That's what they say, or they're a carrier.
Yeah.
But that and like syphilis, you can test negative for syphilis, and syphilis is a huge.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So
well,
I know
there's always
thing,
tests are never perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
So if I were a gentleman caller calling on one of these, or whatever you want to call them, a person,
sex workers
seeking out sex.
Oh, the John is that?
Yeah,
the old
the
school
sex
name?
work. I would probably use a condom, just because.
So does that mean just because they have papers, they don't use condoms, or condoms are now? I mean, because this is the thing: the women have papers, but the men
don't,
or the people who are paying them.
That's what I'm saying.
Don't. So who? But I don't know.
System.
They might still use condoms. It's just that they have papers to show
from what
up.
I know from anyone that I've heard that's
so those
like
women are just taking
paid
this
for
huge
sex work
risk on because like this whole thing is their papers are good right now because they're in the clear, but every time they sleep with someone without condoms, they're at a risk for whatever it is. So I don't know. I have a feeling that condoms might still be on the table. I don't know though. We can't confirm that.
Hey, no, I don't think they are, Amy. We may need to fact check ourselves with this, but
we need to
I'm like 90% sure that like condoms aren't used in the exchange between the parties that are involved.
If any of our listeners,
I'm sure if they wanted to, they would
come to the red light district and paid for some services here. We would like your feedback on whether or not condoms. What was the exchange like? Were condoms on the table?
Yeah.
Were they required? What was it like?
It would be awesome to hear. And also, if anyone's ever interested in sharing sex work stories, like if you've ever been a participant, I would love to get, sort of an in-depth like look into what it would be like to have an exchange and people that are selling themselves for sex, because it is interesting.
Yeah.
It's a whole different, it's the oldest
profession
that ever has existed between humans. It's the oldest paid profession.
Well, the other thing that was really interesting is the whole general energy of where we were down in the red light district. There was a lot of men there. I didn't see a lot of female bodied folks.
A lot of drunk men.
And it didn't feel raunchy or sketchy. It was like, I mean, it was definitely a little more of an energetic kind of upbeat party vibe, but it wasn't.
It didn't feel
like,
dirty either.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like, oh, shameful.
Yes,
not
shame,
at all.
exactly.
There was no shame in it. It was like people openly exploring sex workers and be like, oh, she's hot, or walking up to the door. And no one I felt like really was, I don't know, when in Thailand, well, you've been to Thailand.
Oh, yeah.
You feel a little bit awkward in Thailand when you are walking in like soy cowboy area.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, I mean, there's a lot of differences with that.
There's
like,
a lot of differences. Yeah, in terms, I mean, a lot of people in Thailand or in Asia or Malaysia are sold into sex work and sex slavery.
I know.
So
there's a whole different story.
And all over the world,
right.
too. It's not just there, but it's just different. And I'm sure here there's plenty of sex workers that are not choosing it for what people would say are the right reasons, whatever that may be, you know, but it's up to them. And there's probably plenty of people that love their job, love their career.
Well, while we're here in Amsterdam, Amy, would you like to take a toke of this marijuana with me?
Oh, Lord.
It's legal. It's legal.
Oh,
I think we need a puff.
Okay, a little
time.
puff. For
Because
Amsterdam.
one in Rome, you Roman, and one in Amsterdam, you puff.
You both. I'll take a little hit of that tweed. I actually
good.
don't really smoke the herb. I was a smoker of the herbs in high school. Then I quit at 21 and haven't really looked back. So wish me luck.
Good luck, Amy. Now let's see how the podcast goes. We're gonna get real mellow after this.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah.
And we're answering some sex questions.
Oh yeah.
It's just really funny that we're doing this because Kyle Tierman, shout out to Kyle Tierman on his podcast, The Kyle Tierman Show.
Oh, yeah.
And Chris Ryan from Tangentially Speaking, Dr. Chris Ryan, who wrote Sex at Dawn.
We love you guys.
Chris Ryan goes on Kyle's podcast. They drink a couple of beers, and then halfway through, they decide to smoke a joint.
I heard that one. We listened to it together, and we were like, yes.
And then, oh, yeah, we did. And it was like pretty, after the
and
joint.
then it became like a
piece,
2.5 hour podcast.
The joint piece gets a little funky, but they're like,
I'm going to take one more hit of this. This is some good
take a hit.
Amsterdamian. I don't know if that's a real term, but I like it. Amsterdamian tweed.
What's interesting, fun fact about Amsterdam, they have their own city flag, and it's XXX.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Which is
it's
really
like,
cool. I
it's
need
really,
something with the XXX on it before we leave here.
I
think we should take a picture of that and like have it as like part of the shameless sex.
Go to the gift shops. Go
Yes,
gift shop it.
for sure.
Gift shop it up.
So
we answer some sex questions. What else do we
I
have to
think
say about
so.
Amsterdam?
Well-
I love how we're just world travelers. We just record from all these different places.
I know, and
right now we're in our living room in our Airbnb.
Yes.
It's cute. We were actually going to record from one of the coffee shops. Coffee shops,
But then we
means
realized it might
the
be
herb shops.
distraction. It's
Yeah.
like, where?
Yeah, we don't want to do that. Oh, hey, I have one more thing we need to talk about.
Yes.
There's the Me Too thing going on. Have you seen that? Have you been on Facebook and all that jazz?
I have not,
Okay.
because I've been at a trade show like you, but I have been really disconnected from social media
So
lately.
Me Too is going on. I don't have my Facebook open right now, but it's essentially asking a call to action for specifically for women, I believe, to out there, do a hashtag for Me Too on social media on Facebook.
Like METOO?
Me Too, that I've been sexually harassed or assaulted in some way. And so, like, you know, every person, not every person, but so many people that I know are just Me Too, people that I never knew. And it's an umbrella Me Too, right? So it could just be a cat call on the street or your
So
PE
pretty much
teacher
everyone
groping
on
your
the
breast.
planet that's like,
But then the cool thing about it is people are actually outing their stories. So people that are just getting really vulnerable and outing that shame. And it's going on right now. I think it's really beautiful and really brilliant. And then there's this other part of it where people are actually, what is it? I forgot what it is, but there's actual assaulters. Is that the right word? That are assaulters. People that have
the
assaulted.
people that were assaulting.
And again, umbrella assaulting or assaulter, meaning you could have just been the cat caller, or maybe you were the one that raped someone or whatever. And I haven't seen anyone say I raped someone, but I've seen people say Me Too. I have at some point crossed boundaries, been like, or coerced someone for sex or whatever it is. And so I just want to do a shout out for that and for all the folks that are jumping into this practice I don't even know exactly who started it because we've been so busy that I haven't really had time to look at it. But whoever decided that it was a great idea to inspire people outing their shame in a vulnerable way, kudos to you, because
courage.
I think it's really
that
powerful.
Takes so much courage
to
and
speak that.
Thank you for sharing your story or just being powerful. I'm gonna look at it after this, I guess, once I get a moment to actually take in the things.
Yeah, and I haven't even wrote a Me Too, and I don't have necessarily, like, I think the thing that a lot of people hold back on outing a Me Too because they don't think theirs is as good as some other ones, right? They're like, my trauma is not as bad as your trauma. And
it's not a competition.
There's
We're
no
all
trauma
going through all of
hierarchy. I mean, I definitely have been coerced into sex or sex acts.
I've been sexually harassed in the workplace.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
As a woman.
Definitely.
When I was like 24 by like the VP of the company who was like super loaded 40-something-year-old guy, you know, drove like a Porsche 911 and was like basically telling me he'd give me money if I did sexual acts for him. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to go now.
Yeah, I don't think so. And so that was one of those things where people they're talking. People aren't speaking up because they're fearful of losing their job, or people say that's just how that guy is, or you need to like lighten up. Or
well, that's the thing. He was like, look at my car, look at all the stuff I have. He was kind of like, look. I'm like, I don't give a shit, dude. I'm not interested in anything. But that was like a very traumatic experience for me. And my mom was like, you should sue. I was like, I'm not gonna sue. That's not who I am. I'm just gonna walk away.
I don't think people realize that moments like that, as big or small as it looks like or seems like, it's all a matter of perspective, and they can be really, really traumatizing to people. And really, you're just crushing empowerment when you're essentially like, or especially when people out their vulnerability and people are like, it's not valid. You know, that's just fucked.
Or it's not that big a deal. He didn't touch you.
Yeah,
that was like a thing. They're
yeah,
like,
you
well,
were, at least you weren't raped.
Yeah, you didn't get that was a thing too. And because I was like, well, I was 24 years old, maybe 25, 24 or 25, and I remember thinking, well, he didn't touch me, so it's okay. But all the other stuff that it was composed of was like quite. It was super intense, and it was uncomfortable. And he basically offered me, it was like quid pro quo situations, you know, when you have like, I don't know if you've ever worked in like an office environment, but they have like sexual harassment, education, and like quid pro quo is like literally offering someone, you know, an advancement or more money in exchange for their
services,
body or their services or their actions. And that was exactly what it was. And the day before we had that fucking meeting, sexual harassment where we watched a video. I was like, quid pro quo. And I was like thinking to myself, like, are you an idiot? We were in that meeting together. But maybe he learned how to do it in that meeting.
And it just speaks to the general kind of undertone of what's still a huge fucking issue. Right. And even if people think like, yeah, we're living in a time with more equality, like there still is this underlying idea that it's okay to do those things. It's okay to make cat calls, and it's okay to make suggestions to people in a work environment and to touch bodies when you don't have consent, or, you know, whatever it is. And it's happening to all bodies. You know, it's not just happening to women, and it's huge for women. You know, these bodies are, even people aren't female bodied, but like for my body, I know when I walk down the street, my body is a receiver. I have a vagina, and I am more at risk than someone with a penis.
Also, I want to bring up another fact, because I feel like you and I have been in the sex toy industry for quite some time. And it is a predominantly, and still is, it's shifting a bit.
You had some people groping you.
I got my dress. I was wearing like this really cute A-line dress in Vegas. This is like in 2013 with like, it had like wire kind of shaped like bodice, a wire like that made triangles over my boobs, like bodice that wasn't like necessarily like attached to the boob. Like it was very avant-garde. If you're familiar with fashion, it means like it's costumey, but in a nice way. Anyway, gorgeous dress, wearing it. It's like 2:30 in the morning in Vegas, and this customer of mine comes up to me and just full on pulls down my dress in the middle. A customer. So
but
my
still, I mean,
account,
even aside from a customer, like let's take the emphasis off a customer. Let's also just take it to like, doesn't matter who the fuck that is. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
It was the most embarrassing moment, and I like looked at him. I was like, "Why would you do that? What are you doing?" And he like looked at me. He was obviously intoxicated, and I was intoxicated, but I wasn't even talking with him. It was like a full on random walk by, pull down, like shame, like the stuff that happens to children in playgrounds. Like, it was terrible.
A drive by. Yeah.
Yeah. And after that, I was like, wow. Like so the reason I brought that up because, because it happens to everyone. And women in business, like, oh, I can just tell you at this trade show, this last trade show, I had men groping my ass at the booth next to me. I went to like have a drink. They invited me for a champagne toast, and then they started feeling my ass. And I said, "Excuse me, that's very inappropriate. please don't touch me. I'm a woman of business, and also I'm just a woman that really doesn't appreciate to be touched unless I ask you to.
Yeah.
Or unless it's consensual. And I did actually say that, and they were like, whoa. They were Brits, and they were like, really thought it was hilarious that I was being so formal about
That's funny that it's funny that you're voicing your boundaries.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, look at this silly woman voicing her boundaries. Oh, it's so funny. You're hilarious.
You and I, though, I do say we have to overcome a lot being women in a specific industry that has been so predominantly male, like dominated for so, primarily male dominated for so many years. For like
Sex
since,
industry, yeah.
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 Well, the sex toy industry specifically, the pleasure products industry. So it's been a challenge, but I feel like it is starting to shift. So
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to those things for me, if there's anyone that tries to touch, even actually when I'm dancing on the dance floor and that someone tries to come up and just dance behind me, like without asking me
At
if
a
they
show-
can dance
at
with
a
me,
trade show?
I'll turn around, I'll look at them and just shake my head at them and walk away. Because I mean, I could speak to them when they're too, but it's really loud. So I just shake and walk away, and they're like, I mean, I have yet to have an issue with that. I think what happens for a lot of women is they just go with it for a while, and then remember the mentality of the you got to help your friend, right? So your friend's dancing, and then a guy comes and starts dancing with her, and she gives you this look like, rescue me. And so all the other girls come in, they start to pull her away. And like, that's, whatever, at least we have our friends to protect us. But why can't that woman turn around and say, please, like, don't dance with me unless I ask you to. Like, this is my space. I didn't invite you to come and to start touching my body. Or like me, just shaking the head and walking away. But instead, it's like, we need to be saved so that girl can pretend like they're not rejecting them. And it's just this, that's again, the underlying thing that's going on here. We want to save people's egos.
Yeah, it's okay to say no. Just say no.
Or we don't want to be too much. We want to be that bitchy, hysterical woman. Fuck
there's
that.
A proper way to do it. Like for me, I'm like, hey, I'm not comfortable with this, or
don't touch me.
Right. Well,
I know we talk
sometimes.
about like ways to suggest things nicely, like voice a boundary lovingly. And if someone is touching you and it's not consensual, you don't have to be fucking loving about that.
Well, yeah, you can just be like, and I'm gone. Bye.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Should we start doing some sex questions?
Yes.
Any other points about
we
this?
should.
Okay.
We had so many things.
We had
like,
so many things.
They're all interlacing. Interlacing.
Interlacing. You guys, we've been a little tired.
I know, y'all. We've been in a long, long journey.
So we have some sex questions that people have been emailing us, and we've been taking some time kind of racking them up and kind of not addressing them. So we really want to get in there.
And please, y'all,
we
feel
love
free.
it. We love it.
Anytime, all the time. Email us questions, sex questions, life questions, whatever you want answers to or our insight to. Perhaps if we don't know the answer, we will try to find the answer for you. And our email is shamelesssexpodcast@gmail.com. Pretty original.
Yep.
It's got like 3 S's all in a row.
Holla.
So should we start with the first one about sex therapy and Benoit walls?
Oh, sure. Yeah, this person had 3 questions, right?
Well, I mean, it's... No,
okay.
one question.
All right. Lamb.
This is
Let
the
him know.
first
Here we go.
of 3 of the other ones that we'll answer.
All right.
So this person wrote in, first and foremost, I have to say I absolutely love your podcast and the positivity you are creating around sex. Sex education is my passion, and I hope to one day teach at a junior college level. I also would love to become a sex therapist, but am not quite sure how to get into that kind of thing. I have looked into becoming a licensed clinical social worker and was hoping I could go from there. Any advice, suggestions, and or information you can provide would greatly be appreciated. So maybe that's one question.
Well, maybe just stick with that, and then we'll go to the other ones.
Oh, no, there's one more, though.
No, but if they're different topics, let's stick with the one question and answer it, and then go to the next one.
Okay.
So we don't get
I'm
confused.
I'm with you. Okay.
Yeah.
So the question would be, any advice, suggestions, and or information you can provide would be greatly appreciated on how to become a sex therapist or clinical social worker.
So funny because it's funny. So I took my human sexuality class, my very first one at 18 at Cabrillo College, our community college in Santa Cruz. And that's when I realized that I thought I wanted to be a sex therapist from that, and either a sex therapist or I wanted to teach at the community junior college level, because that's where I had taken the course, and I was like, I could do it. My professor at the time, they had been they told our class, you're talking to 18-year-olds, that they've been celibate for 10 years and they were still recommending the diaphragm with a whole bunch of spermicide as like the number one birth control method. And they're just so outdated. And so I was like, I want to grow up and replace that person. And I've since then now don't want to work in a junior college or for any university because I don't like to be regulated by anyone's rules, yo. But I'm not saying that you, person who wrote this email, should not do that. But I was on a similar trajectory to whatever this person is interested in. And what I will say, I don't know where you're located, but there are a couple great actual universities that do either minors for your bachelor's in human sexuality, or you can do a master's in human sexuality, including San Francisco State if you're in San Francisco, or Widener out in Pennsylvania, I believe. And they have great programs for a master's or minor in human sexuality. So that's one route. If you want to go the academic route, that's probably the best thing. Or you could, major in psychology and minor in human sexuality, or, whatever your choice is. And there's so many different certifications. And one of the things I did was when I was going to San Francisco State for psychology and human sexuality, I did my sex educator certification training with SFSI. That's SFSI.org. It stands for San Francisco Sex Information, and it is a place where they do an anonymous forum where people can send emails or call on the phone and ask anonymous sex questions. But they also train sex educators twice a year. And so that was where I learned a lot of everything that I'm applying, how to speak with non-judgmental, very open communication. And it was super edgy and just it was.
You talked diverse. A little bit before about some of the videos that they made you watch.
Oh yeah, the video. Yeah,
well, they didn't make you. I mean, obviously,
forced me.
Make you watch this video.
101.
Yeah,
yeah.
But videos about different practices and fetishes and sexual preferences that people have that you had to watch, that what made you the most uncomfortable, right?
Yeah. I mean, and that was, there was definitely a lot of that. And I would suggest two things. One, you can do the academic route by going to Widener, San Francisco State, or I think Michigan. I don't remember if it's University of Michigan or Michigan State, but they also have a, I forgot what it's called, but like clinical human sexuality kind of, it's like a certification. It's like a year-long program. So it's not a master's in it, but you would add that on to, whatever your bachelor's degree that you already have, and you have to have some clinical experience. But anyway, so there's the academic route or there's so many individual trainings that you can do. And for what I did, I just I got a degree, but I only got a bachelor's, which a lot of people think I have a master's. They're just assume that. But minor in human sexuality. And then I did all these little trainings, my, somatica training, tantra training,
whatever is you were passionate about that route, but
you
may I
make
a
rules.
suggestion as well from my standpoint? So I have a bachelor's of science, which is it is what it is, completely
She's
unrelated.
using it every day.
I use it all the time. But my suggestion for this valued, amazing listener with your question would be to go, and if you have time, to get a little part-time job, or maybe it'll be a big time
experience.
Go and work at your local sex positive shop, boutique, if you live anywhere that has a sex shop, because
that's what you did.
That's what I did. Mm-hmm. And you can learn on your own. And I'm an avid self-learner, self-starter. And I think that for me, obviously I'm not certified, but doing that gives you the groundwork. Like, I'm a hands-on learner. I always have been. And I feel like in this work, I try to educate myself because I am constantly meeting people that ask for my advice. And I'm like, look, I'm not a doctor and I'm not a certified anything, but can tell you, like, in my years, like I talk to people, I ask for their feedback. I read things all the time, and there's no better education than like actual experience. So if you want to really get that and see if that's something that you want to pursue, perhaps before you go and get involved and invest, 2 years or 4 years into a bachelor's degree, perhaps
get some field experience.
Get some field experience. See if that's something that you're comfortable with talking to people about. And that's personally what I think would be effective. Or do it at the same time. And there's so many people that I meet on the road that are actually going into some kind of sex therapy or sex education, that are working in shops and that are so amazing at doing the sales, because they're guiding people through like really either traumatic experiences, but also like through their pleasure, like, and how to engage in more pleasure. And I think that's really beautiful talking to them.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Well stated, Chip.
Oh, thanks. So there's lots of different.
We're definitely just a little more serious on this podcast. I was just thinking about that. I was being a level 1 listener for a second as you were talking. I was listening, and then I was like, usually we're like, blah, 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 and we're both just like pretty. We've been traveling.
We've been traveling a lot time. I was in London, then I was in Germany, then I was in Berlin again in Germany, and then I'm in Amsterdam.
And we have different voices and tones. Like when we have a lot of energy, we're like, oh, we talk like this and we get so excited. And then, but otherwise, this is my like monotone. Amy has been on the road for about 10 days, so bear with us.
But
if you're just tuning in, people, this is your first episode.
No,
we're really spicy.
We're still having fun. This is all fun. We love
it. All right, what you got next?
Okay, so the second part of this question is about. I also have a question about Benoit balls. I have a pair, in parentheses, no string, that was given to me as a gift and was wondering if I should begin with a pair attached to a string at first. I am not scared of using the pair I have, but wasn't sure if I was getting ahead of myself. Thanks. Do you want to start on this one? Because I have so many things.
Okay, you start.
Well, first of all, deep throat in the mic. First of all, I will say this. From a historical standpoint, Benoit balls, a.k.a. Kegel balls, which Kegel was the doctor that actually coined or trademarked.
Always a
term.
man
right?
coining some.
Because it's pelvic floor exercises are what you're doing. But Benoit is from like the Zen Chinese dynasty. The emperor, like it's like thousands of years old. The concubines used to wear these round bell balls inside and dance around their emperors that they were entertaining and make like beautiful noises, and that was where Benoit kind of came from.
Benoit.
But then they realized that it made the pelvic floor tighter because it's a muscle, which you're gonna engage in and talk about, Amy. Yep. But that being said, wearing Kegel balls, in my opinion, with a string is easier because the ones that don't have them, you have to kind of fish for to take out. Like the ones with the string, you can kind of pull. I like to call it I can make
an
recommendation.
oh shit handle.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, I've had an oh shit cup situation.
I don't know how you keep getting things stuck in your pussy, man.
I'm like a 6-year-old that just like shoves peas and marbles up there. What's going to happen? Is it going to come out my mouth?
She just like puts things in backwards. Like your I don't remember what it was, but your diva cup or whatever.
I had a femme cup.
Femme cup. Yeah.
It got twisted around.
So
I had
it's
it
a
removed.
menstrual cup, and somehow
That's
she
the
puts
second
it
time.
backwards twice.
My
And
sister
it
had to
somehow
fish the
gets
other one
stuck.
out with a toothbrush. She had to unplug this suction.
And then OB tampons, they've gotten lost in there.
I had my ex-boyfriend pull one of those out.
I have had that happen once too, though. I had that happen once.
like,
The string fell off.
Yeah,
and
the
then,
string fell off.
And you think because like the vaginal canal, it ends at some point. There's a cervix, and you can get lodged like around the cervix, where like even if you get your body in the most like awkward contorted positions, it's hard to get on your own.
You bear down and nothing happens.
I know it's
like what?
It's your doctor. You keep going. They're like, what the fuck?
And this is why, in retrospect, the balls with the no strings are difficult. They're more advanced.
They're more advanced, and I will say that they also usually they look like they're small and metal. Usually, there's glass ones too, but they're actually a lot heavier than they look. And for me, when I've had my muscles like not be that strong, and I put them in, there's no way they're gonna get stuck in me because they just fall right out. I literally have to clench like hard the whole time for a couple of minutes to even keep them in.
The larger balls are way easier to hold in. And Fun Factory actually makes really great
smart balls.
The smart balls,
yeah, those are nice.
They're good. Actually, Lalo, we'll give a shout out to
Lalo.
I
do. The only thing about it, the only downfall will be like if you're in a really quiet room and you jump up and down, you can hear them, but that's not usually what you're doing with them anyways. But like if you did jumping jacks, because they're plastic with silicone and a metal ball inside, so you can hear the metal ball hitting plastic. But I do love the size and the weight.
I would recommend getting them always with the string though, or some sort of band to take them in and out.
Well, and there's also the Jade Egg. The Jade Egg is really big, and
it's like onyx
made of jade.
Oh, made of jade.
You can get some now. At Pure Pleasure, we used to have one that was made of onyx, a crystal egg. But the Jade Egg is a material that people really like, and it's it's of the earth. It's supposed to have like healing qualities and powers. A lot of people are into gems and crystals and natural stones and things, and
balancing.
It's supposed to be like pretty much non-porous as well, and The sizes are nice. You can get different sizes. And the cool thing about it is that people always think of Kegels as like this super workout to keep her pussy all tight, right? And there's a lot more to it. Like if you have strong pelvic floor muscles, this is the first thing that's going to help your orgasm, because part of a genital orgasm. So like when you're having a genital based orgasm, those muscles contract. And if those muscles are weak or not so strong, those orgasms, they don't have much muscle to contract, so the orgasm's lighter. And if the muscles are really strong, then the orgasm is stronger. So that's I think the biggest
I'm doing my Kegels right now.
key point. Yeah, go get your Kegels.
Flanching it.
I know, me too. Flex.
Wait, can I tell you something that I heard from a taxi driver
Yes.
one time?
Yeah.
And I fact checked him and he's right. He's like, so I see you're wearing high heels. I'm all, yeah, I wear them all the time. He's like, women with high heels have much tighter pussies.
Are you serious? Does he know? Wait. Okay, let's go back to the Me Too thing here.
Okay.
What the fuck?
Yeah, first of all, he said that. And I was like, really? Yeah. But I was like, no. He's like, yes. And I was in the back. He
Were
wasn't.
you already talking about sex toys and what you do in the industry? Did he know you come from a sex toy convention?
No, this is not this trip. This is like a year ago.
This is someone you didn't know.
So I don't remember the context of how it started. But I think he did know. He felt comfortable enough to share that with me. It wasn't just out of the blue.
That's an interesting thing. Okay,
but it's true though.
That if you
so they've
have
done
high
studies.
heels,
if you wear a lot of
you
high
have
heels,
to use the muscles.
yes, so you're constantly contracting.
I don't wear high heels. My pussy is not.
No, it doesn't mean that. But it just means that I wear high heels all the time, and I know like how tight my pussy is because when I try to stick tampons in there, sometimes I'm like, oh my god.
She goes with tampons like a
fucking
harpoon,
process. And like
it's so toy.
Yeah, so I do my Kegels on a reg for sure.
Good
and
job.
I went to the gyno and she told me I should be a pelvic floor model.
Oh,
and I was like,
in other
I held
words,
a
she was
speculum
like, nice pussy.
And then the taxi driver told me that, and I was like, I'm gonna fact check you. And then I did. I Googled some things, and it's true.
I just got stuck on this consent thing of like.
It was inappropriate. Probably.
It was inappropriate. Yeah. I mean, if people just offer information about like, yeah, women when they wear high heels. So this is another thing. Chris Ryan, I'm going to quote him again. He made this comment when I went on his podcast. He opens it up by saying, some of you might think I was really creepy with Amy, and yeah, I was kind of creepy. She's really hot or whatever. And then he goes on to talk about creepy it's contextual, because if he was a 20 or 30-year-old guy and he was commenting on how hot I was, people wouldn't be like, you're creepy and lecherous or whatever. But because he's in his I don't even know how old he is, 50s. And 50 maybe, I don't know. Sorry, Chris, I don't know how old you are. But that it's contextual. It's based on people's perception, the social stigma around age and when you can be sexual and when you can make those comments. So it's the language is very interesting that we use, and the time and place of language. So because this is a man telling you this comment about
tell you how old he was.
I know.
19.
I'm not talking the age. It didn't matter. It was that he was a man, right?
Right.
And he was talking about women's pussies to you without you even inviting him to talk about sexuality. And so this is a confusing thing. Like for you might have been intrigued by it. It was actually
I love random useless knowledge. Yes. I was like, really?
And so it.
And I didn't feel like he was hitting on me.
No, but it's consent.
But was it
very,
appropriate? Is it like
exactly.
a whole different thing?
Yes.
But my level of appropriate is probably really different than most people's level.
Exactly.
Of appropriate.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. I was actually talking to my partner about this with Chris Ryan too. Like the whole time I'm talking to him, I didn't think he was creepy at all. There was nothing that I felt was creepy. I definitely felt like he thought I was attractive, and we talked a lot about sex.
Did your partner listen to the podcast?
He hasn't listened to it. I just talked to him about it. But my creepy radar is, and I think like you, we don't want to shame people for being hypersexual or super sexual or whatever. But there is just a certain degree of it is when is the advances unwarranted, uninvited.
Right.
And like definitely didn't feel like Chris Ryan was like trying to like cross my boundaries. It was to me, it just was fine. But I think again, he's saying it's contextual. Other people are going to hear it and they're going to think that it was too much. So that's a tangent. Tangent.
No, but you're right. And I think that to that taxi driver, like I appreciate the information. And for me, I wasn't uncomfortable. And I know most women probably
would have been like, he said pussy and
right.
And tight. It's talking about tight pussies.
And I don't know if he actually used the word pussy, to be honest. It was about a year ago.
They're hoo-ha.
He might have said vagina. He might have said.
Really? You think he said vagina?
He might have. I don't remember, but he might have said, your. I don't know.
Yeah.
He might have. I don't remember, but how I remember it now, I don't remember his exact, vernacular, but I remember it had to do with
Tight
pussies and wearing high heels.
Okay.
And I was like,
I think I wear a lot of high heels.
So
Tangent. Okay, Benoit balls. So let's
Benoit balls.
so I like what you said about the string. I think that was good. We talked about the jade egg. Oh, the other cool thing about jade egg is when you're using it's more than what meets the eye, like the idea that it's all about tightness. The jade egg, there's a lot of really cool practices for it to help us kind of center ourselves and ground ourselves and connect with our sensuality. And also when they talk about the jade egg, there's because people do Jade Egg 101 courses, that pussies are so used to just having something shoved in them, whether it's a tampon or a dildo or cock or finger or whatever, as opposed to being invited in and taken in really slowly in a way that the pussy really gets to choose how long it takes for this object, item, whatever body part to come in. And so with the jade egg, they push for it, and you can do this with any Kegel ball. Instead of shoving in, you would lube it up and just lightly press it on the vulva. And slowly press it in and just kind of feel the pussy open and invited in. And it's like a whole different practice, a way of receiving. And then this thing it just becomes more of like a sacred practice. So this is like, again, a tangent. And if someone's looking for something that's a little more like holistic and connected, that might be your jam. But smart balls and the Lalo Luna
the
balls.
smart balls are, and also they're made from medical grade silicone, and they're easy. I feel like you can get the one ball.
Yeah.
Or the two.
Is that for someone with a tilted uterus?
Right.
Yeah. The single ball, yeah.
And then the two balls, which is like an elevated amount of weight. But
and the other thing I want to say too about this is, you can do Kegels. Like April said, she's doing Kegels right now, and she doesn't have anything inside of her. So we can develop strong PC muscles. PCs is pubococcygeus, so the pelvic floor muscles, by just tightening and releasing without something in us. And it's kind of the equivalent of if I want arm muscles, I can move my arms up and down.
Without a weight on it.
Without a weight,
like
right?
you're at the gym, you want to work out, but you just flex
If
your
I
arm.
just move my arms, flex it up and down, it would do something, but be much more efficient if I had a weight. And that's why these weights are really helpful, is they add extra weight for your body to work with, more resistance, and it helps to increase the strength.
It creates like a faster process too. And with smart balls, because I used to work for Fun Factory, so I can attest to this. Like with our research, we learned that basically wearing the Kegel balls about 20 to 30 minutes a few times a week will give you results in about 2 weeks. And remember that Kegel balls also, Benoit balls, Kegel balls, also help childbirth become easier, actually the labor, because you're using those pelvic floor muscles to push out a child. Also, after birth, your midwives or gynecologists will recommend them to actually help retighten that muscle as well. Mm-hmm. That can get all not loose. That's not the right word. Untrained.
It changes.
After childbirth.
Yeah, because childbirth is badass.
Yeah. But they'll recommend those to kind of get that muscle back into the reactive mode. Mm-hmm. And then in general, like with helping in orgasms, as you were talking about.
Or bladder control too.
But just like 20 minutes to 30 minutes a day will really help you. Just like
you're talking about if you have the balls and you're just walking around and you're not tightening all the time.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Because sitting there clenching and releasing for 20 minutes is
using
gnarly.
the balls, you can get results.
So the balls that she's talking about, the smart balls and Luna balls, you could actually lube up, put in, and as long as you're moving around, they move inside of you. The idea is that they move and your body kind of is like, what the fuck? There's something moving, and so it kind of
reacts to it. Yeah.
Yes. And so that you can just do as a regular practice for 20, 30 minutes. Or you like things like Jade Egg, or things you're actually, or the Benoit balls, you're consciously clenching and releasing around. Those ones you only need to literally do for a couple minutes, and a day. It's not.
But literally, any vagina owner, in my opinion, can and will benefit from owning some sort of Kegel exercising ball set.
Well, and anyone who has any organs or bits, penises or vulvas or whatever, however you identify with your bits, will benefit from Kegel exercises as well. Even, of course, the penises don't get to use the Kegel balls, but that exercise, that practice actually just strengthens orgasm for all bodies. So that same kind of tightening and releasing thing. And I have her, were you telling me about someone, a housemate that put a wet t-shirt on their cock to straighten?
Yeah, my old housemate in college.
Yeah, they're doing
I hooked up with him once.
Kegels.
We never had sex, but like he did get to move his like dick around a lot. He called it the ghost blowjob or something like that.
What the hell does that
Just because his
mean?
dick would move and he pretended like somebody was.
Oh, because the muscles were so strong.
Yeah, so he'd put a wet t-shirt on it to kind of flex.
That's funny.
I was like, what the fuck are you doing? But
I bet he had really good ejaculatory control.
I don't know. I never had sex with him and I never gave him a blowjob or anything, but he went down on me a couple times.
Awesome.
All right.
Get it. Hey everyone, thank you for listening to part 1 of Your Sex Questions Answered from Amsterdam. We're breaking this into 2 parts because we don't want to just drag it out. I don't know. I keep getting this feedback of people that want
people
to be,
make it longer,
shorter,
make it shorter,
longer,
make it
shorter.
longer, make it shorter. We're trying to do about, I think, 45 minutes to 60 tops. So if it goes
we're
over,
just gonna play with it. We're
splitting it
gonna
up.
the occasional half an hour. But like
plus, Amy and I have to be together, and we've both been working really hard, traveling all across the world, spreading the word of sex positivity, love, sex toys, and all the things.
All the things.
So like it's hard sometimes.
It's hard out here for a pimp.
It's hard out here for a pimp.
Hustle and Flow, everyone.
Yeah,
that's
a
what you should go watch
good-ass
that movie. You should watch it.
Wait, how's the other part of that song go?
Trying to make money
for the rent.
Something.
That was good. We watched
a
that.
whole lot of something.
She's good though. That girl's.
I love that movie. It's a good movie.
And now it's hard out here for a pimp. Karaoke session.
Yeah.
We already did it.
No. Okay. All right. Anyways, we're gonna cut this short. We love you all
so much. We love you. Actually, it's ich liebe dich in German.
Oh, was it German?
Yeah, that was German.
Not.
Nein. That's no in German.
Got it.
All right. We love you all. Ciao for now.
Don't forget to head on over to our website at shamelesssex.com for more. And for 15% off of some of our favorite sex toys, use coupon code SHAMELESSPP in all caps at purepleasureshop.com.